we can be all that much better.
Do you know somebody who has a lot of talent but doesn't do anything with it?
This ability to influence, make that happen.
What is possible for you is endless. What is stopping you is just an illusion. Why is growth so dang hard? I mean, isn't this whole personal development thing and this whole idea of me getting better every single day supposed to be fun? So isn't it supposed to be exciting? Why do I feel like it's constantly a grind? Why do I feel like I always have to work harder than normal? Like I get to another level and I'm like, I've tried to get here, now I'm here, and this is all there is. It's harder than it was before. Like, what is that? Why is growth so difficult? I mean, are you in a place where you're trying to get to the next level? Maybe it's in your business, maybe it's in your relationship, maybe it's in your life. You just can't seem to get to the next level. Or maybe you get to the next level and you think, wait a minute, you don't even recognize it, right? Like you thought the next level was gonna be flowers and roses and it was gonna be nice little clouds and everything was gonna be easy. And then you got to the next level and you realize, dang, this is hard. What is that? Like why do I continue to try and grow, but sometimes I just feel like I'm on a hamster wheel? You ever felt like you're on a hamster wheel? Like sometimes you're just going, but then you get off your hamster wheel and you're in the same spot that you started? What is that? I mean, I've come to realize, having trained over 15,000 people and done over 2,000 coaching sessions, I've learned this process of growth isn't always what we think it is. And what I've discovered is this: there's really 3 phases of growth that you have to go through if you're trying to get to that next level. And consider that if you're at that next level and it's really hard, consider that you just bumped up a level and you just haven't figured out how to operate there yet. It's all good, you'll figure it out and everything, the dust will settle and then you'll be able to go to the next level, okay? But there's 3 phases of growth that I want to share with you right now. Maybe you can figure out where you are in this growth phase, and I'll specifically give you some strategies about how you can get to the next level, okay? So the first phase of growth, in my opinion, is where you kind of show up and you're affected by the circumstances. Where you show up and you're at the effect of the various circumstances that are around in your life and various forces and such things like that. I'll give you an example. You walk into an environment that is distracting, it has a lot of distractions, you get distracted. If you're around negative people, you become negative too. If you are in a place where everybody's energetic, you become energetic too. The problem with that is you have to depend on the circumstances to fit what you're committed to. And most of the time, I don't need to tell you watching this video, most of the time that is not the case, right? Most of the time, the world and other people don't really care about what we're up to. They don't care about the goals that we've set for ourselves. And matter of fact, some of you watching this video, you tell the people in your environment that, hey, I'm gonna go for this. And they're like, whatever, you'll calm down in a couple days. That's because we're at the effect of the circumstances. We're at the effect of the conditions in our lives. And if we're at that place, that's a tough place to grow from, right? So a lot of people are trying to grow into the next phase of their life or get to the next phase of their business, trying to get to that next level, but they haven't understood that it's the circumstances that are keeping them where they're at. Now, I know that kind of sounds like, well, aren't you blaming other people? And yes, because people haven't taken on, if you want to get out of that phase, the way you get out of that phase of being affected by the circumstances is you start to own up. You start to man up, woman up. You start to take control and responsibility for everything that happens in your life, whether it is your responsibility or not. And that's the big one. You take responsibility for the communication with your spouse. You take responsibility for your communication with the client. You take responsibility for the actions that you have, for creating the conditions that you need. You start to take responsibility for every action that you take and how you respond to everything that happens. And when you start to do that, you transcend that phase and you start to move into the next phase, which is you learn to separate yourself from the circumstances and the conditions. And that's a great place to be. When you learn to separate yourself from the circumstances and the conditions in your life, now the chains are off, they break off, and you're able to bust through and go to the next level in an effortless fashion. When there's distractions, you don't even see them. Boom, you stay focused, you're on your game. And you do that once you take full responsibility for everything, once you start to own stuff, because you know what happens? When you decide that it's up to you, when you finally decide that it's up to you and you're gonna make it happen, you don't see the distractions, you don't see the circumstances. All you see are the results you're committed to. And that's where you want to get. You want to learn to get to a place where, if it's early in the morning and it's dark outside and you committed to getting up at 4:30, 5 o'clock and the sun's not up yet and it's really tough, the conditions don't matter. You get up anyway. When, the times get tough when, you're prospecting or doing your thing, maybe you're in sales and you're prospecting and doing your thing and it's really tough and you're dealing with a lot of rejection, it doesn't bother you. You keep moving forward because mentally you have learned to separate yourself. Emotionally, you've learned to separate yourself from the circumstances. The circumstances no longer dictate how you perform. And when that happens, you start to really accelerate and go through this journey of growth extremely fast. And then the third phase, once you learn how to do that, once you learn to separate yourself from the circumstances, there's a third phase of growth that is really, really cool. And that is where you show up and the circumstances are affected by you. Where you show up, you show up to a certain party that everybody's negative, and you show up and bam, you're the life of the party and everybody is all of a sudden inspired and all that kind of stuff. You show up on a presentation or you show up for a business meeting and people are a no, and you show up and bam, they're a yes. How does that happen? How do you get yourself to a place where all of a sudden you show up and the circumstances are affected by you? Well, I gave you a few tips. Number one is you take responsibility for everything, but the next one is you start to learn how to influence. And when I say influence, people are usually like, well, does that mean selling? No, that doesn't mean selling. I know a lot of people. One of my best friends, Don, is he's ridiculously influential, but he's in the studio industry. He doesn't sell anything, but gosh, can he influence you to do stuff and, get everybody in a good mood? He's just amazing at it. And so when I'm talking about influence, I'm not necessarily talking about your ability to get other people to do stuff. Because that is good, and what I'm about to tell you right now is the effect of you learning how to do this, but I'm not talking about you influencing other people. I'm talking about you learning how to influence you. How good are you at influencing yourself? How good are you at taking yourself when you're in a negative state or you just don't feel that good, right? How good are you at taking yourself and lifting yourself out of that with your language, with your self-talk, with what you're focused on, with remembering what you're committed to? How good are you at putting yourself in a state where you're silly and playful? How good are you at putting yourself in a state where you're ready to go, right? Like I played baseball most of my life, and I was fortunate enough to play some professional ball as well. And what I realized was there are certain hitters that the way they get into the zone is they learn how to influence themselves, right? Some people they played really, really well when they'd get really mad. Well, I gotta get mad, and they would do really well. But you know what? When I put myself in that state, and most of the time I wouldn't put myself there, although if we're taking responsibility, I guess I did, but it felt like I would just be put there, right? The manager would do something I didn't like. I would be affected by the circumstances, and so I would go up and be affected by the circumstance because I'd be in the state of, I'm gonna be mad, I'm gonna get him. And that did not work well for me at all. What I discovered later on, it wasn't until my last 2 years of playing, was that I play really well when I'm in a goofy, free, just let everything go state. It's gonna be all good, let's joke around, let's have fun. When I'm in that mode, I'm lethal. I'm so effective in everything I do. All of a sudden I get in the zone, I'm super focused, I'm focusing on the right things. All the things that used to bother me just drifted away. When you learn how to influence yourself, when you find out what motivates you, when you find out what inspires you, when you find out how to get yourself into a place where you feel good, you feel confident, you're ready to take on the world, that is when you show up and the circumstances are affected by you. And that's the last phase of growth, because when you master those three phases, you can virtually go into any area of your life, right? You can go into a relationship where if there's little things that annoy you about that they do, you're like, oh my God, the way she twists her nose, like that's annoying. Or my gosh, it really annoys me how he just sits around the house like that sometimes. Like when their circumstances are there and you're affected by them, you lose your power. There's no growth to happen. But when all of a sudden you can start to accept that and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to take responsibility for the communication. I'm going to take responsibility for us having a good time. I'm going to take on the responsibility. Then you start to transform. You start to transcend that, and you move into, I'm not affected by the circumstances anymore. I can be my true, authentic self. And that, when you learn how to do that, that's when you learn how to influence yourself, and that's when you go to that next phase. Now you show up and things occur. So I don't know about you, but that kind of stuff has happened in my life where I've kind of gone through this growth process. And what I found was, if I'm trying to go to the next level and I don't understand these three phases of growth, I get stuck. I have to be, and look, I've done it too. I've tried to go to the next level and kept hitting my head on the ceiling. Like, why is this happening? Because I wasn't aware that A, I'm responsible for everything, and B, if I learn how to influence myself, influencing the situation and other people is a piece of cake, okay? So I hope you got a lot of this video. If you got something, leave me a comment. Maybe like the video. That'd be cool if you shared it too, if you think there's somebody who could use this video. And I look forward to seeing you on your future videos. For now, make sure that everything you do is you operating at your full potential and learn to unlock that full potential that you have.